My name is Shawn Fletcher, and I was born in Long Beach, California. My father was a professional wrestler in the 60s and 70s. He started, him and a friend of his went to California to seek their fortune, I guess. And while he was out there, they were at an all-you-can-eat buffet. A couple of big guys behind him were like, are you one of those fat guys that can move, or, you just sit around? And my dad was like, well, I can move. So they brought him out in the alley and, asked him to show him some different moves and run around a little bit. And they said, all right. So they agreed to train him. He showed up new to the scene. He didn't have a name. And there was a family in Amarillo, Texas called the Funks, which was Dory Funk Jr., Terry Funk. And they're actually the ones that gave him the name of Man Mountain Mike. He was a overall-wearing hillbilly who raised potatoes in Maine, all of which was completely false. But after my dad retired from being a wrestler, he took the money that he earned and saved being a wrestler and invested it in his own business and opened Man Mountain Mike's dry cleaner and laundromat. My parents started having some trouble in their marriage, and there was a lady at the Weight Watchers who knew that. Her name was Lee. She was friends with my mom, and she kept prodding my mom. You guys should come to church. You guys should come to church. We go to church in South Berwick. It's great. It took a while, but they went. And when they went, I don't know if they liked it at first, but I liked it. As a kid, it was very exciting. And I would be like, let's go back, let's go back, let's go back. So they kept going back. So we were very active in all things church. They had service Thursday nights, Sunday mornings, Sunday nights. My dad was very active in men's group and the basketball league that they had, because they had their own gymnasium attached to the church. He was one of those guys that would always have the Bridge to Life track. I remember it like it was yesterday. He would pass it out to whoever, waitresses, whatever. He had no fear whatsoever about telling people about his relationship with God. He would invite people at the drop of a hat, people that came into his work. He also started working for the school bus company, driving school bus for the Marshwood High School. And he banged his leg on the bus one day, put the seat back, just banged it, just a little cut on the back of the leg, and that got infected. So he went to the doctor. They were like, oh, it's just a strep infection, take these antibiotics and go home. But later that night, it was like, nah, he had to get rushed to the hospital. We're sitting in the waiting room outside the intensive care unit at York Hospital. And I remember directly in front of me there was a window, and you could see the doors for the intensive care unit. And so I'm watching in this window, and boom, the doors come open, and there comes Dr. Graziano and all these other people that were his doctor. And so instantly I was like, oh gosh, something's wrong, and they came out and they were like, he died. I was bitter toward God. I didn't know why God would allow that to happen. So I began rejecting everything my dad loved, including God. My mom bought me a drum kit to help occupy my time. Of course, I ended up starting a band with some friends, and music became my life for the next 25 years. I was in quite a few different bands. We toured the United States, we toured Canada. Of course, I partied, began smoking some grass, drank, did more acid than anybody I knew. I enjoyed making music. I enjoyed making music that made people happy. It's not that I was miserable, but I knew something was missing in my life, and I wasn't going to go back to church to figure out what that was. I was working at a call center in Dover, New Hampshire. I was the quality assurance guy. In comes Mike Gagney, Pastor Nate's brother. So he's the first one I kind of struck up a conversation with, and he's the one that mentioned, he goes, oh, we're Christian. And I was like, you're what? It was just impressive to hear somebody say that so publicly and so nonchalant. And I was like, that impressed me. Because he wasn't old, he was young. And he goes, and this guy goes to church, and that girl goes to the church, and these two guys go to the church. I was like, wow, you guys all go to the same church? So that just planted the seed. And it made me realize that, wow, young people are interested in Jesus and stuff like that, because I hadn't thought about it in years, honestly. It just wasn't even something I was concerned with anymore. My son Kyle started going to a Bible study, which got him into going to church here as well. And he was definitely genuinely excited about meeting people and what was going on. And, as a former churchgoer, I was instantly suspicious. I went down there one time with him, and when I came into the church, I was like, oh, hey, there's Mike, the guy I used to work with. So I talked to him, and he goes, oh yeah, my brother's the pastor here. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. And then it was, oh, there's Chris. I was like, oh yeah, we used to work with him. And then there's Tom. I was like, oh yeah, I used to work with him. I was like, so this is the church you guys all went to all that time ago? And he was like, yeah. I mean, when the band started playing, that was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. I saw people excited to be there. I saw people excited to participate in what was going on. I saw people excited for Jesus. To see other people, you know, for lack of a better term, enjoying that or whatever, I mean, that was amazing to me. I didn't even know people still did that, because when you're living of the world, you don't see stuff like that at all. Amazingly enough, I became a full-time churchgoer. I've been attending Restoration Church for almost 3 years at this point. The amount of things that have changed in my life since turning everything that I do over to God is amazing. I know what it's like to be alone. I know what it's like to wonder what your purpose is in life. I mean, I'll tell you, you don't have to feel alone, because God is always there.